it's rolling. We get the intro music. Watch the volume on the intro music. She comes in hot. Can't find the nose. They wait. Oh, can't tell me home. They wait. Did you see her? Quick, everybody wait. They wait. I'm glad you stopped by. Take them to him, baby. Take them up again. Tell me who. They wait. Yeah. They wait. In nose. They wait. Sweet baby Joseph, how we doing, Ricky?
Doing good, doing great.
Thanks for coming on over, man. Slipping out of work quick to get over here. Like, I'm flavor blasting down this highway. It doesn't make me feel good knowing that you're rushing, but at the same time, I like the enthusiasm.
Oh, you got to try. You got to try.
Do me a favor, scoot a little bit over this way just so I can get you right in that frame. Perfect. Cool, man. Thanks for coming on. Is this the second or the third time?
The second.
Okay, cool. We'll reach the third time relatively soon, okay?
Yeah, I hope so.
But you're coming on today to promote an upcoming album?
Yeah, and just to hang, man.
Okay, that's the more important part. So that means I can start off topic. Yeah. There's been a rampant uptick in the ketamine dosage being given to our dogs across America, okay?
You don't say.
It's because the coyotes are rampant in the fields, and the dogs know about this. They're leaning on their drug habit to try to pretend the issue's not there. Little do they know that drugs in large doses induce the paranoia to let you know that the coyotes are closer than you might think. You may be in your cage, dog, but you can't keep back them damn coyotes.
The commitment. I
Dude,
love it. Is that a real concern of yours? You were very prepared for that.
Honest to God, I've never thought about it before the last couple of minutes, but my blood sugar is just spiked, okay? I'm in a bad place. I've been taking care of my folks' dog a little bit more. My sister watches him because I'm not responsible enough for that, but I give like the afternoon meds and she's hanging upstairs. And I didn't eat anything before I started drinking this cold brew. And for the first time, I opened a can of dog food and went, doesn't sound bad right now. Like just that kind of hungry, you know?
Man.
Where anything could work. You grew up with pets?
Yeah, I had one dog, German Shepherd.
Dude, that's a lot of dog.
Right.
And was that like from 10 on, or when did you get this pup?
I don't remember not having a dog. So
That's the way to do it. You know, you grow up with a consideration for the animal a different way, but also it's never like it's never a chore.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the dog's part of your life.
Yes, I would say under teenager. So probably from birth to 10, 12 years old, I had a dog.
Yeah. Dude, I got a cat now with the wife, and cats don't let you hold them, you know, at least not for a long amount of time. Actually, he perches on my shoulder like some kind of parrot, which makes me feel like a pirate, but it's not what I'm going for when I pick him up. I'm like, I want to cuddle you in an aggressive way. And the dogs were all about that. And he's like, I still got claws, motherfucker. And I'm like, that's crazy. It's crazy to feel like my pet, that I pay for your room and board. I treat you really nice.
Right,
I give you I give you soft food. Also, I couldn't figure out why our recycling bin was just reeking. It's because of the soft food. I don't scratch that shit out well enough, so it just is build up. And I was, dude, it was festering. It was fermenting. Actually, I got a little buzz because I've been away from the booze long enough to just smell of it. I was like, yeah,
that was great in the headphones, right?
Dude, that's like ASMR. It's how would you? It's an
just like
oligarchic.
hearing people talk kind of thing.
Well, ASMR is like the hearing people talk. I was trying to describe something that's like a smell-based Bud Light, but that's not going to come out in a more eloquent way than that. So let's just move on. Okay, you got me off topic.
we never were.
I'll never come back. Yeah, I'll never come back. So let's get to business, and then we'll veer off in a little bit. It's like when you get on Waze and you see there's construction up ahead, and then you find out that's mislabeled. It's not construction. It's two guys with one of those like the scanners in between, and you're like, I don't even believe that they actually have a job. This is some kind of a no-show job, like the mob would run.
Are they spying on someone? Because whenever you see those two dudes like measuring stuff out, you never see anything later on. Like they're not building anything.
Bingo.
What are you scoping out?
Yeah, and let's talk about Ohio's best mob-based city, Cleveland. What's good?
What's up with Cleveland?
you ever play a gig in Cleveland and you're like, I didn't know that the mob was so alive and well up here?
What brings you to that conclusion? Yeah, I've done a decent amount of work in Cleveland.
I haven't played a lot of clubs, so me saying this is going to lead people to some conclusions if they do their research. But there's one spot I play that at the end of the night, to get paid, I always walk back in the kitchen. They give me some kind of leftover food, like as if that's the payment. It's like, you want to get paid? Come on back. I walk back in the kitchen. They give me an aluminum foil wrap of probably like a cold hot dog, okay? And they're like, congratulations. I'm like, thank you. And they go, and here's this for your troubles. And they give me cash. It's always cash. And then the moment the bar closes, everybody's smoking inside. Okay, they're just getting after it. The bar is completely cash. It's run by a family. It's very.
Yeah, that's criminal activity.
Yeah, I'm not even saying criminal. I'm just saying mob related.
My only work I've done in Cleveland has been in the wedding industry.
Dude, the greatest embezzlement industry of all time. I mean, it's like, how much did you pay for additional LED lights? Like $10K? Like, really? Okay. Man, it's muy fascinante. Please tell me more.
How did this... You spent six figures on today?
That is pretty bizarre when you start to like... Y'all are also in the upper echelons of wedding bands. And it's like... You walk around these situations like you haven't just been saving money to do this. You've been planning money to be put through this funnel at the end of the day. Like it's pretty flagrant at times.
We gotta look into this. We might be uncovering some scandal.
What if you became an informant for the IRS and you did it through the wedding biz? Like you're like, is he wearing a wire? It's like, that's my wireless mic, stupid. Yes, listen up, guys. Speaking, actually, you went to the in-ear headphones. You're one of the only sax players. Actually, my man Chris Keith has gone to the in-ears, but
nice.
I think we talked about this last time. Are you still fully on board with the in-ears?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm still on tin can in-ears.
Dude, you go in the Apple? I've seen you rocking the Apple headphones every once in a while.
So sometimes, especially on like a more public gig, I'll do like the Bud in-ears just because the tin cans, I do feel a little stupid sometimes.
I love the aesthetic of it, man. Like, yeah. I think when John Mayer started doing it, then it was in. It's like you're allowed to do this now.
And half the reason for, especially for the tin cans, is just because the stage volume is so loud that it's really just to cut everyone else out, let alone to hear me. So.
Well, and that brings me to a great point with the album. First, tell me, what's the name of the album? What's the project with?
Mm-hmm. So 2 albums, so 16 songs, 2 albums, 8 and 8. The first album is more commercial funk, and that one's going to be called Between the Peak and the Valley. And then the second one is more jazz. I'm kind of close on the name. I'm thinking something along the lines of As Dreams Change.
How about Ketamine like, for Dogs?
Ketamine, yeah. With a trippy album cover artwork.
Tell me the potential name again.
As Dreams Change.
Very nice. And are these both projects and material that you've been kind of sitting on, or was it like a collaborative thing going on?
No, all old music. So I guess the jazz album are all old songs that I'm re-recording.
Nice.
Of old originals that were from maybe my senior year in high school to all the way through college are
Very nice.
Those 8 songs. And then from mid-20s to now are the first 8 songs, the commercial stuff that are all like newish.
Yeah. And what was kind of like the precipice like getting these ideas back out and re-recording them?
Just doing it, man. At the end of 2023, or talking about work, when I quit that last job, there was just some goals of like, I've let some dreams go away just for day jobbing. And so when I took that year off from the day job, there was just some goals I had, and one of them was just like, I need to finish that album and just do it. Been talking about it, so hell or high water, I got to do it.
That's beautiful, man. I feel like between dance and live performance, like you put your heart and soul into the moment, in these present things, and that's very rewarding. But you walk away with nothing to hold. You know, a couple loose videos or things like that. But that's nothing to establish as part of the legacy of who you are and how you kind of view the world through that medium. So just stepping up and saying, no, we need to hit print on these. Yeah. And they came out really good, man. So you did it all at Doghouse Studios?
Yep.
Leroy Ellington, the fucking man. Yeah. And did you do it with the house band, or who's all playing on these?
Trumpet, Sean Fitzpatrick.
I heard some squeaks in there. I was like, that's our Sean. I can do that's our boy.
Those have already been edited out, hopefully.
But it's so interesting, though, when you're not using your voice, but your instrument has your voice in it, and you spend enough time around somebody to tell the way that they kind of, it's the contour, it's the way they enunciate things. It's the way you two ride together in certain phrases where it's like, oh, I feel like I could pick Sean out of a lineup in that, you know?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've played with him so much that, I could pick him blindfolded.
Yeah.
But, there's some, But
there's isms to all of our playing, and it's cool when you get to know someone's isms, and like sometimes you're hearing them make the statement of who they are. Sometimes you're listening to the inside joke of what they do, you know? Like when I see Sean almost give himself a Billy Mays level aneurysm, like really take it up there, that's why I'm like, oh, that's our boy. That's that guy that tries to put me in the river once a year, right?
But yeah, him on trumpet, keyboard, Andy Smith, guitar, Carlos Vargas, bass, Sam Rusher, drums, Isaiah Cook.
Dude, that's a hard band. So Carlos and tell me the keys player again.
Andy Smith.
Andy Smith. Their band, the Hydrophonics, is ridiculous.
Yeah, slamming.
But man, Sammy and Isaiah have such a great pocket together.
Yeah.
And I guess when I was listening to it, I almost thought it was Matt Wiles on bass, because there's certain lines where, like, Sammy, of all bass players I know, I think has the most isms, where you can give him a piece of music, it's gonna sound like Sammy.
Yeah,
there's no way to not send it through that medium. I think that's when guys can bounce between a lot of instruments, they refine that voice really well. And there was one song that opened up with like a very bass heavy, almost loop phrase. Like, can you pick that song off the top of your head?
There's a couple, either Lost Love or Advice from V.
Okay.
Where it's just that specific loop. Yeah, Lost Love, I think.
Yeah, that was the one that I was most like listening through them all last night. Like, I wanted to make sure I had time to listen through everything in one sitting, because if you're gonna sit down and do the album, it's like you can't isolate a corner of this and expect to get the big picture thing.
Yeah.
And that song especially really had me in the trance, where I was like, I might be a threat being on the highway right now. like I was up in that thing, man.
Yeah. You're talking? I think you're talking about Peaceful Interlude, where it was like just bass guitar and keys the whole time.
No, but I did love Peaceful Interlude.
Okay.
That was one where I looked at it, I was like, that was a short ass song. And he's like, okay, no.
I was in a trance. Oh, okay.
Truly, no, but I think it was one of the other ones where it was like, it was a much more expansive. Probably, I think it was like 4.5 minutes.
Yeah.
I should have looked at the sheet that you sent me, but again, I was driving. Right?
Yeah. No excuse.
Relabel your goddamn tracks. Also, the drum sounds on that were spectacular, man.
Oh, nice.
Really thumpy.
Nice. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Absolutely, man. So going in with these pieces, you had like previously laid down versions of the track, and it was time to refine the quality of the recording or refine the arrangements themselves.
So 8 of the 16 were pre-recorded, and part of it is just being older. So that first album that was 2016, with the childhood homies, it never made it anywhere. So there's 100 people out there with hard copy CDs of that album, and that's all that exists, minus the extra 100 that's in my closet right now from a decade ago.
Dude, what an awesome way to roll it back out, though, to be able to buy the pair together.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll do physical prints again?
I don't know. I don't feel like people
Well, one thing that
listen to hard seed. I might get 100 made just because, you know, some older, especially with it being jazz albums, some older homies, like my dad's friends that like want a actual CD. But
I think there's a sentiment in buying a hard copy more than there is like a utilitarian purpose of buying the hard copy. Like when people buy CDs at this point, because they know that's the best way to literally support the music, which is what we're primarily here for. Like I can sell you T-shirts all day long, but it kind of makes me feel like TJ fucking Maxx.
Yeah.
But when you buy the CD, it reminds me that you are here for the thing that I placed value in, and also it's a good way to, there's a set X variable of a number that you spent on this at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Dividing that by the amount of albums you need to sell at a certain price at least lets you know the day that's like, paid for, done. But I cook all my, I bake all my cookies myself. I got that's just like the burner CDs, and I just run them through. If you want to use a machine to burn some CDs, I got
man,
one
I
of
haven't burnt the CD since 2000.
I'll illegally download your shit. I'll put it back on my computer. I'll scrap it through a worse way. I'll mislabel all your songs like LimeWire. I'll do it.
I'm thinking about it just for the sake of whatever the smallest amount of CDs you can get made. I might do it just because just to have it. Maybe the smallest amount of albums, like an actual record album.
Dude,
the smallest amount of shirts, just to have that memorabilia for personal.
If you'd be open to it, there's an awesome studio in Brooklyn called Least of All that they do direct-to-vinyl recordings. So, I've always wanted to offer vinyl, but I've never been able to afford doing the 200 pressings of the full length. So you go in and folks order one copy of what was the song I was just telling you I liked?
That Lost Love.
So if I ordered a version of Lost Love, so maybe 5 people order that. You do 5 takes, and each of those takes uniquely go onto one single vinyl. And you can open up with a dedication. Hey, this is Matt's copy of Lost Love. Thanks for buying it. In we go. And that,
interesting.
Yeah. So that way you don't have to front the cost of it necessarily, but you're still making money from doing that session. You go in, you do 2 hours. They have the studio set up. It's gorgeous. It's a good reason to take yourself to Brooklyn, have a nice time up there.
They have in-house musicians, or you got to take your own band?
You could get your own musicians up there. They don't have an in-house group of people. But we got enough buddies that are living up there that if you really wanted to go for it, it'd be a cool way to do it, especially to have alternate versions of it.
That might be it.
Yeah,
cool.
Keep me in the loop because I will buy a version of that song. I did really like that, man.
Nice. I'm most excited about hearing what people like. So I had a little listening session for some homies, and it was interesting. I have my babies, my favoritisms of the 16 songs. Mm-hmm. It was interesting to see my friends what was their favorite song and why. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, I think your perception of your own work is so skewed by every part of the process. And by the time it gets in front of you, by the time you're looking at the finished project, as much as it's that sounds nice, it's more of just I remember that day. It's like Vietnam PSG.
I'm still in it, man. I'm arguing, man. I'm so exhausted.
Yeah. One thing that I really liked about hearing, of thinking that was Sean, is getting to hear you two in a more expansive category of playing, something where you can honestly go the places you want to go. But also, with my band, we've been trying to get more in the nuance of when you attack things and when you get off of things, especially in harmonies. It's you guys just have a clarity between the two of you that I'm sure with it being newer material, it needs some rehearsal. Yeah. But at least there's that unspoken understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda if you had all the time and money in the world. But to that point, and to some clip notes or missed forms, I'm not perfect, and I wanted to make a point to not make the album perfect. Mm-hmm. So you can go back into the studio and nickel and dime every mistake. If there's some outrageous stuff, then do that. But as far as some clips here, some missed notes there, it's I'm okay with that, just to leave that in, because that's who I was on that day. So.
Absolutely. No, it sounds fantastic. I mean, all the solos have. So I was listening to Carlos Santana's masterclass, which I'll tell you isn't as good as I would have liked it to be. But he's talking about okay, when you practice, you give your dedication to what you do here, of getting your fingers fresh. By the time you're doing the thing, it's time to check out of your active mind and just participate in the music. And it's you can feel that freedom in the things you're doing. And I like that the mix is not trying to hide any aspects of the human being behind it. It's like too much of music today has this sheen of perfection that I know was removing 20% of the person and adding 20% of the computer. It's like that has no sex appeal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I just want to hear you go in and get the fuck after it.
Yeah. No, I feel that. So yeah, that's why it's important. Like the first 8 songs, we did a little overdubbing here and there. The second 8, there was no really overdubs.
Yeah.
We laid, so the process was me in the rhythm section one day. The next day, me and trumpet came in and laid down all the melodies. Took a couple, maybe 2 solos, and whichever one was the best one out of 2, 3 solos, that was the cut, and called it a day. Also, just for money, I mean, we had 2 sessions, so I definitely worked them, man. I did 8 songs per session, so we did like 4-hour session, 2 4-hour sessions.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
But I think having, constraints make the best art. If the canvas didn't have sides to it, then you just keep going with that fucking line.
Yeah.
And telling yourself that we're going to do it and we're going to be done and we're going to move on. Like there's got to be some acceptance of it was just the day and the feeling in the room and the moments that are amazing and just lightning in a bottle, super fulfilling.
Yeah.
The things you wish you could fix, like you got to be able to let go of those.
Yeah.
Do you feel like doing this has kind of reignited a love for composition and arrangement and doing that kind of thing, or do you kind of need the break from it all at this point?
That's a great question. A little bit of a break from that platform. And so it's funny, all those songs, I was talking to my dad, and he was like, you should name these more targeted names, like how you make money. Well, how he thinks you make money is playing your song in a coffee shop. So you should name this song, coffee shop mix. So it get picked up, which there's a part of that to get on playlists at places and stuff. But every song, it's funny. Every song, I was going through X in life, and that song came to me. So every song is titled XYZ because I was going through XYZ when I wrote that song. So all those songs have a story, a purpose. There's a reason that song was written. It wasn't just me, I'm going to write a song today.
Yeah.
And so I don't have that inspiration to write in that format. Really, I'm looking forward to doing something. You know who FKJ is?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing some stuff like that. I'm going to say go Tom Misch, where playing a bunch of instruments, running through a computer, you're making beats and making beats of your beats in real time kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of platform is next. I think that I just want to memorialize this moment and those songs and move on.
Totally. One thing that I always found interesting in the recording process is like by the time you finished the song, the things you learned while making the song makes you feel like, oh, I could just go back and restart and it could be that much better.
Yeah.
And you can continually spin that wheel. And this material seems very much ingrained in like a almost an academic pursuit meets the emotional capacity to feel through it. It's like it is a younger version of you, but this is all coming from the schooling that you took on to be able to play as well as you do. But the next evolution of it might be a little bit more like the gigs on a Saturday night where they kind of walk that line between what is traditional jazz. Like, would you put this in a certain category of jazz?
I don't even know. I mean, somewhere between smooth jazz and jazz.
Okay.
So some of those songs are a little too smooth jazz for me to call it jazz.
Okay.
It's also a little too jazzy fusion.
What is the distinction between the two?
Man, it's also a great question.
Yeah.
I feel like traditional jazz is more in that tradition, like formats, the style, the instrumentation, as opposed to smooth jazz. In my mind, is more produced. Simpler melodies, simpler chord progressions, and you just know it when you hear it. That
Kenny G.
When you get on that elevator, you just like you could feel, as opposed to when you listen to jazz and you got a drummer swinging it out, like you just know, oh, like I should be listening to this.
It's a really odd thing when you take the lyric out of a musical piece and you have it like. I have a hard time focusing with music on. Unless it is instrumental, then it's like, then I feel like my life is more properly soundtracked and I can do things and I can think around it. But then you start to see like some of the hilarious places this music ends up. Like one of my favorite examples, like Dev Marvelous has some incredible albums that are like trancey, but they're jazz. They're very hi-fi, but they have some more like laid-back elements. And I'm like, man, why do I feel like I'm standing in the lobby of a swanky hotel right now? And it's like, I don't want to put that on my friend. I'm not saying that's where your music belongs, but it has an aura about it that feels like someone would use it for presentation.
Yeah.
And I get what your dad's saying, where it's like, you package this stuff to go towards those places, but you don't do that during the act of creating.
Right.
You do that during the marketing at the back end. Like, you make a playlist, you name it Ampsley, you put in other artists that you want to be correlated with.
Yeah.
You can actually sell people getting into that playlist and use that to market the playlist. Like, there's all kinds of bullshit you can do that's just as creative and mind-boggling an endeavor as anything else. But at the end of the day, if you start to subject that part of the process with making the product, it's like now you start making some cookie cutter shit that's not going to make you happy at the end of the day.
That's the whole reason you do it. And it's funny, like, the amount of money I've spent on these 2 albums and the processes, I don't plan on making it back. Like, I think it's cool if I make some money off of it, but honestly, I just want to do it. And if some stuff happens from it, cool, but I have no desire to... I make videos like to hustle it, to shove it down people's face. Like, I just wanted to make it for me, really, and share it with the world,
Yeah, I think there's a really good line between clever rollout and over promotion that, requiring you to write a TikTok dance to go along with the fucking thing.
Yeah,
it's
that
like,
type of stuff.
It's more upsetting than it's worth. And the people that are going to like it are going to find it. But you do need to make it easy on them. And, like, one thing that I try to think of once the song's done, once I have the product, is envision the consumer experience for someone that's never heard you before, and this is going to land in their lap. How do you want them to backtrack? If I'm going to see 30 seconds of this on an Instagram video, that doesn't have to be anything but a little bit of a moving graphic. Okay, so I go from there to RJ's page. I landed on his page. Now I can go to RJ's Spotify. I can see that he has this song out from the album, but I can tell that there's more coming. Okay, so I'm going to hit follow. Now I can watch for the rest of the stuff to roll out. Like, walking that line with them is kind of confusing unless you give yourself the break between doing it and releasing it to just be a fan and experience that the way that they would, and then say, okay, this was optimal for me finding new music, so I'm just going to go with that path. And then we're going to back up a little bit and take a fucking breath.
I cannot wait for that breath. I guess people say it's hardest right before the dawn, And man, I'm feeling that right now. It's
weird to hold on to it.
But just to finish the complete, so right now we're in the last mix of the video edits, and I didn't show you, but I hired a videographer to record each song, so each song's going to have a music video to it.
That's
just
great.
Us in the studio. And then, so I'm in the process of finalizing that, and then finalizing the mix, and it's like, man, can we just knock this out? Can we just finish this process?
It's easy just to say, like, fucking just send it out and drop the whole project at once. And it's like, that's just not the way the world wants it to work anymore, but that's as infuriating as anything else.
Some people said that. I completely understand dropping a song a week for... I think I'm going to drop the whole project. And I think every week I'm going to post, check this song out. Next Monday, check this song out. Next Monday, check this song out. But as far as you can't get the rest of the album until it's dropped, I feel like I'm not big enough to do that, where people are going to wait. And let me put on my calendar. Track 4 drops next week.
I think it's... I understand that feeling, but I think there's something about... like option fatigue that happens for people. If you drop me 8 songs, most people aren't going to take the time to listen to all 8, because when I look at all those options, I'm going to listen to one of them. So if you only give me one option this week and I get one option next week, there is enough instruction to kind of guide me through it. Inevitably, someone's not going to make it to track 8 because for the last 8 weeks you put out a song and a song and a song. But the reason to do the cascading release is because you can have it at the top of your artist pick page or whatever that's going to be, and you can help orient that consumer experience a little more directly to what's going on with it. And if you invested the money to put the video along with it, there's already so much to promote. There's the music to stream, there's the video to watch, and then there's the notes from the artist to come out with it. So I understand at the end of the day, if you say, I just want to put it out and be done with it, that's a great feeling, just to say, like, today's the fucking day and we're doing this. But if you do the cascading release, it's like when someone sits down for a 5-course meal, you don't put 5 courses out in front of them, because then they eat the cake at the beginning. They have no interest in that fucking salad. And I'm not calling the Prelude salad, okay, but it was a short song, and I'm still hungry at the end. So if you gave me that at one point and walked me towards the next, it might incline me to be more anticipatory about what's coming after this.
I feel that for the homies, but as far as Joe Schmo that might happen to come across the music, I feel differently. So when I'm scrolling Instagram and I see someone gives me a dope 30 seconds and they say, come back next week for the release, in my mind, I go, you better hope I happen upon your page again in a week, because I'm not invested enough to come back to you. And so it's different for me how I consume music. If I find a 30 seconds I like, I'm going to listen to the whole song, and then I'm going to listen to the whole album. So I think it'd be easier for me to just binge consume a project than to keep up. Because some of my favorite artists, I don't keep up with day to day or week to week or project to project. I go, oh, they got a new thing out, let me listen to it.
Totally. Well, I think you're spot on. Like, the pre-release strategy is dead. If you're asking for people to pre-save your songs and things like that, if there's no cookie, I don't want to taste, you know? But putting up 30 seconds on Instagram and saying the song's right there, that's enough for me to be like, I liked it, I came back, and now I can get more. But building that traction in a way that, like, the most important thing on the streaming platforms is your monthly listeners and your, like, exterior shares. You want people to go from that Instagram video onto Spotify. Well, getting them to go off platform inevitably drives down your engagement on the platform. So really what you want them to do is send that to other people.
Right.
And, like, that's one of the most infuriating things. Like, why would someone send this song to somebody else? Like, you kind of have to bait them into that aspect of it. And, you know, the worst thing, too, is, you know, we're both in a situation right now of holding on to music and getting ready for it. It's like, there's 1,000 ways to do this. Yeah. And sometimes it's better just to decide on one and just to do it.
Doing it. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, this shit keeps me up at night, much more than the ketamine-based coyotes theory does.
That's a lot. That's
and I don't sleep very well because of that either. But I'll tell you, the song should definitely haunt me, because it's not just the money. It's not just the time. It's the emotional capacity to create, and how you feel driven to do it again has to be led by someone seeing the value in what you did and saying yes to it.
Yeah.
Is there going to be an album release show?
Yes, October 25th at Ghost Baby.
Very nice.
So I'm looking forward to that. Sexy spot. Been wanting to get in there for a long time. Got the original lineup doing it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be nice that'll be the stamp of...
Yeah.
It is officially done.
And I'm assuming that means no videography of the performance, because Ghost Baby is on the DL.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go in there with a GoPro strapped to my forehead. They won't know shit.
Like, it's a part of me. It's part of my instrument. You know, I'm going to tell you.
Why would you not just assume this is decorative? Like, I understand. The red light flashing is just to enhance the color of my shoes.
Yeah, I'm dressed in red. Don't you notice?
They're like, you're wearing sandals, sir. It's like, you can't wear sandals in here. Have you picked out a nice suit for the occasion?
Not at all. I'm
thinking something velvet.
Today.
Something that could show stains, but it shows me you're super clean. And at the end of the night, I want to see you're not so clean. You know what I'm saying, dog?
I am thinking about it's going to be cold enough for me to buy put my winter hat back on. You know, with the brim.
Yes.
That's the only part of the outfit I've thought about so far.
That would be hot.
Shameful to say.
You need to have an MC that's going to come out with a cane and sunglasses and give you this moment of stage walk, you know?
Not even. I've been thinking about that process. I don't know if I'm just burnt out or just emotionally over a lot of things, performance-wise, music-wise, but I just want to do it. I do want to do a show of, like, maybe like Schwartz's Point, where there's just banter, you know, like, the funny story about this next song. I do want to do that type of show one day, maybe for my birthday, but that type of place isn't Ghost Baby.
Yeah. So
it's more so just, here's the music. Like, I'm a little burnt out on the show of it. So
I get that for sure. And you said it's going to be that full lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna be selling vapes outside since they won't let us have a fog machine down there. We're gonna pipe you out, bro.
No, a fog machine, 5 stories underground. Yeah, that seems like a bad idea. It seems like poor ventilation situation.
Put a bunch of vaping young 20-year-olds. Yeah. Class.
Classy.
I was playing a Colts after party the other day for their 14th losing season opener. Okay, the Bengals are not doing the worst. Fucking Colts are having a tough time. And I went in the restroom of this lovely establishment and I saw 4 Mr. Fogg boxes. And I was like, who's standing at the urinal saying, let me take all my vapes out, and then has 4 vapes to freshly unpackage? And I was so shocked by that I didn't realize that I was standing in a pile of vomit.
That's how enthralled you were with this visual.
I was so distracted. So that's how I'm going to treat Ghost Baby that night. Okay. What was the date again?
October 25th.
October 25th. That's awesome. And you haven't played there before?
Not under my own name.
Okay.
So I've been a side guy over the years with friends, but never played there under my own name.
Man, the first time I went all however many stories down, I was only gonna do it for one person only, Lauren Elise. And oh my God, that shit was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
The queen herself, Jesus.
You got an elevator there. What's the problem, man?
I like the steps.
I feel you on that. Man, I played there one time. I think a burlesque show, and had a little too much to drink. And I forgot about the elevator. At some point, I remember like crawling up army style all like 15 stories. I remember coming to halfway through and thinking, how long have I been climbing? Like, in this, it felt surreal.
That
like,
makes me sick.
Like, am I gonna die here? Like, am I like an endless loop? Like, is this punishment?
Yeah. Dude, I feel like I've never gotten to go see Cincy Burlesque. I've heard amazing things about the show. What was your first experience playing with that band?
First time playing with that band. So I played with that company for a while now. My first time playing with them at Ghost Baby was funny because they hired me like last minute. I think at the subs, somebody subbed out, so I was like, hey, can you just come here, go to songs? Yeah. So, like when you're on call, you're the sub, you're the new guy, you're looking for cues for everyone. And then the funniest thing about that gig was, so you're on stage, band is all dudes, and there's a naked person in front of you.
Not completely.
Not completely.
Nipple tassels, very covered.
Yeah, it's very tasteful. And it was funny because I'm looking at the band for cues, and everyone is just looking up, like I'm not getting canceled on this, not today. I'm just like, no, I need you to tell me how we're gonna end this song. And everyone's like, the lack of eye contact on that gig was hilarious to me. Yeah. Like no one's looking across stage. It's just straight up.
Well, it's like there's not a lot of ways right now in the world where that kind of sensuality matches up with music in a way that you feel like you can take part in the show and enjoy the beautiful thing that someone's presenting you with. It's like this isn't a strip show. This is entertainment that's adult oriented, but it's something beautiful to be involved in, and it's interesting that you need to have that framework for it to make sense. Like, you couldn't have a live band at the Brass Ass anymore. But wouldn't that...
But also, why not, though? I feel like that's something in you that feels uncomfortable. Like, yeah, like this is what we're doing right now. And it's just normal,
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are just uncomfortable with that side of themselves. It's like... Yeah. Intimacy is something that everyone lives on the spectrum of. You can be someone that's very comfortable with it or very not, but it's not like anyone's living without this thing in their life.
Yeah.
And if they are, you can probably smell the pent-up weirdness that's coming along with that.
Yes, I think that's what it was.
There's a couple Walmart greeters I've seen that don't have any intimacy. I can tell.
Yeah. It's funny. I was talking about that with someone the other day. I was in New York and saw some old friends play, and I took some dance friends, and they were like, that chemistry between them, like, is there something there? And I was like, no, that's just, you need that level of intimacy to create art at that level.
Yeah.
And if you're not used to that, it can come off as romantic, but it's not. Sometimes it's just giving yourself to someone else to create this art in this capacity, create this song, to create this dance performance. And it's more weird to be in that situation and cut yourself off to intimacy with someone else, because like that's what the art demands. That's what we're here for. Like, it's weird that you're not.
And do you find that folks as they start to get into dance and they start to walk into the territory of it's moved on from I know the basics, I know a lead or to be led, to now I'm starting to feel the intimacy of the music and me with my partner. Do folks need to redefine that line that they're comfortable with? And do you see that done actively?
It depends. I think people come to dance for their own reasons. And I think, especially if you've been, I don't want to say this, if you've been not open, and if you've been not just open with strangers, like when you're playing music, we're so used to engaging with some random person that to us it's just whatever. Yeah. As opposed to that's really awkward for someone just to be this close to some stranger for 3 minutes at a time. So once they kind of get over that, you can kind of see that they're not used to that level of intimacy in a non-sexual way. And like just because we're dancing doesn't mean anything is happening. And, and honestly, nothing is going to happen. But you can see them like uncomfortable with themselves to let go enough to experience music and life at the fullest without feeling weird.
Yeah, dude, that just gave me a visual of the saxophone solo cuckold that happens in all these wedding gigs. There's nothing funnier to me than you standing on front of a sub and there's all these women around you and like you can see like 30 yards away is like a borderline pissed but super into it husband. It's like, get a little closer, honey. And you're like, Jesus, God in heaven, this is bizarre. And it's like, you're very comfortable with that. You've had to get comfortable with that. Man. But there's a thing there that you have to learn that, like, you know in your mind, in most situations, that you're not taking any of these women home, okay?
Extremely low chance. Nor would I want to most of the time. Yeah,
not at a wedding gig. I mean, they just saw you demolish some cake on your break. You get back out.
I got an hour load out after this. I'm tired. Load in was at 2 p.m. It's 2 a.m. now. Like, I'm good.
But, like, you know, especially for me in this more sober chapter of my life, like relearning eye contact with people while you play is a very interesting thing. Yeah. Because there's enough, there's too much, there's not enough. And it's different with everybody. Yeah. And you can kind of tell in the first glance what they're going to be cool with.
Yeah.
And some people are a little too cool with it. And other people, it's like every time you look at me, I'm going to pretend like I'm looking away until I can tell that you're looking away. And then I'm going to look at you and you're like.
And then I'm going to look back because I know you're not looking back. And then you're going to look away. And then I'm going to look away because you're looking away.
This is a weird dance. That's why I got transition lenses, motherfuckers. I'm all over the place. You know?
I've been thinking about like how douchey would I look with sunglasses so I can just like completely clock out.
Ricky, you're free to do whatever you want in this life. You're one of those people that's cool enough, you know?
To rock sunglasses inside.
I mean, you're pretty much standing on a woman's shoulders playing a sax solo. You can wear sunglasses inside, and we'd allow it.
That's not the wildest part of what you do. So.
Why don't you start the Ghost Baby show? Make that the night that you break out the sunglasses.
Oh, I might fall off that stage. That place is already super dark.
I want to know you brought charts that you can't read. I want to know that you could fall off at any point, and I want to know that the teens with the vapes are doing a good job. Okay. Because if you had them on, you would be able to see.
Dark and foggy.
That's what I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be any long-term issues for the staff of Ghost Baby with not seeing sunlight that often?
Probably. There's studies about that. People that work in casinos, especially working at casinos, those shifts are long.
Dude, I can't imagine.
There's no windows, and you're just kind of in that. Let alone in Vegas, where you can smoke inside of a casino.
Oh my God. I've never gone to Vegas. I've been in our casino. I've been in that Lawrenceburg casino. Dude, that's by far the worst.
That Rising Star? Are you talking about Belterra?
I can't. It's the one that's the boat. It's the one that floats. It was me, Sean, and Nick out there for a weekend, and boy, is it blurry. But dude, my favorite memory of the whole thing. So we finish our set, and it's like, all right, we're going to go down and play blackjack or whatever it is. Like, I don't know how to gamble. I'm shitty at cards. I don't have enough money to do this either. But I do have weed, so I'm going to have a good time. So I brought a bag of edibles, and I'm just sitting there eating like these like circular blue gummies and having a good time. And then I can tell that the dealer is watching me. And I hold one up. I was like, do you want one? And he goes, if you put it on the table, I can take it. And I was like, word. So I put it down, grabs it, takes it, pops it. And as I put it down, I put it next to chips that looked exactly like this. So in that moment, I'm like, someone's watching a security camera like a hawk right now, and they think this guy just ate a chip. Okay, this guy clearly just ate $10. And I'm like, this is the Wild West of Indiana out here, ain't it?
Yeah, casinos are different. Worlds are different. That gig is something else, man.
Just the fact that they can have a casino because it floats on a small body of water. It's like, I got a pool in the backyard. That doesn't mean I'm dealing like Pablo out here. Like, what is this jurisdiction? Like, why are there such weird workarounds for this kind of business?
And it's not even a real boat anymore. Like, I'm pretty sure it's, like, welded to land. Like, so, like, it's like they basically parked the boat on land.
You have traditional plumbing. You realize that,
yeah,
right?
Like, what are we doing here?
Dude, you ever gone to the root beer stand in Sharonville?
Mm-mm.
The root beer stand in Sharonville has the best root beer in town and also crazy foot-long hot dogs. But it's over this aquifer that they make with the... Is that the aquifer? Aquifer is what you put on your lips when you're chapped? Okay, moving on. They make delicious root beer from that. Imagine if they're like, all right, we barely even float on this thing anymore. Let's start making mixed drinks with the water and sell them at a high price. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's way out, man.
What do the kids call it when they mix like a gallon of water with vodka and then they put Mio in it?
What is Mio?
Mio is like a water flavoring. That's like low calorie. So there's God,
interesting.
This was easier when my buddy Aiden helped me out with his show because he's young and hip. But they'll take like liquid IVs and things like that, and they'll make this water thick with electrolytes, and then they'll spike it with their vodka, so they're not gonna have a hangover. And then they'll just drink from like a gallon of water all night at a house party.
Does it taste good?
I don't know. I've never tried that kind. I'm a Jack Daniels guy. I would never drink any type of vodka like that.
Yeah, I just got to the point where I don't want ice in my Jack Daniels. Like, I don't. you put electrolytes in here. That's not why we're here.
But if you put like, I don't know, if you hand me a Long Island and I'm like, this is gonna be brutal, and I have a pack of liquid IV, like something lemony, it's like I'll toss that in there. Sure, I'll get ahead of the game.
Something like that. But I'm a whiskey bourbon person, and
yeah.
Like there's pros and cons, there's risks and rewards.
Yeah.
Like,
Are you occasionally having a beverage these days, or are you completely away from the booze still?
No, occasionally.
Okay.
Typically wine and beer.
Nice.
Whiskey and bourbon gets dropped out every now and then, but feeling good.
Dude, that's the best place to say I've taken a long enough break to know what I am without it. Like, the 6 month point was really interesting for me because it really is like a light switch that changes things. And I hope to never go back to the regularity. Yeah, it's like the pace of drinking that came along with it. Because especially now being the sober guy in a drunk band, like you can look around and see the shortcomings of this so much clearer. Yeah. And once you get past like the, I don't know if you felt this, but there was a confidence curve of I stopped drinking, my playing felt less confident. Mm-hmm. I stayed away from drinking and I kept playing and I got more confident. Now there's good days and bad days like there were before, but I imagine if I started drinking on a gig, I would feel less confident about it. Yeah. But I don't know. They do call it liquid courage for a reason.
That's true. I feel like, when I would play drunk, which I don't do that anymore because I'm usually working when I'm playing, so I got other responsibilities. But I feel like I feel real good about myself in the moment. And then I've heard, people are recording, and I've heard stuff of myself later on. It's just like, whew. Yeah. Would not be proud of that in the moment sober.
You're sunglasses on, getting a piggyback ride from the bride, and the girl's like, get it, girl.
I listened back to it. I was like, oh, that was horrible. Why are y'all letting me do this? Y'all don't love me. Y'all aren't friends.
In the last couple of years, I mean, so you've always had like a choreographic role in the band. Has your dance career started to bring new implementations into what you do in Sly Band?
Not at all.
Really?
And then Fitzpatrick does all the dance moves for that.
Really?
For some reason, but
that's appalling. I'm going to get him Dance Dance Revolution for Christmas, see if we can update some things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, he prides himself on, this is my leader, and I'm just like, I don't have the desire to challenge that. I think it's funny, I dance for a living, and I'm not consulted on dance shoes or, or
that's our boy.
Stuff the correct pants to dance in, the stretchy, we're moving, and, stuff like
I recently tore straight through the ass of my nicest suit. It was devastating. I played a gig at Hotel Covington, the new downstairs location, and I'm loading up my Suburban at the end, and I'm just like, okay, I can.
Not even on the stage.
No. Thank God, it was at the end of the night. I was done with the gig, but I high step into the back of the Suburban because I got to reconfigure something, and like. Almost comedically, but like it was almost like an air-based bidet. Like I just felt the breeze hit my ass.
Hear it?
Yeah, dude, I heard it and I felt the cooling sensation. I was like, "Oh shit!" And my wife's in the front seat, and I'm like, "Can you hem?" And she's like, "Excuse me?" And I'm like, hem. I need my pants. Yeah, I have an ajar ass right now."
Oh, was this before or after the gig?
After the gig, thank God. I just got rid of the pants. But now I've had an obsession with finding the stretchiest of dress pants. And I gotta tell you, I found some options.
Really? You gotta share those with me.
Dude, there's a new Levi brand that's like a slim straight pant that's very, very on point.
I'm beginning to like the almost like these right now. I forget the name of them. The brand.
Jeggings.
Right? If I could.
They'll make them for men at some point. Guaranteed.
Yeah, see through a little bit, you know.
Dude, exactly.
We're missing out. I don't know why no one has not made this yet.
Oh my God, dude.
But kind of like golf material. Like golf pants is what I've been.
The John Daly special.
Yeah.
Dude, there's something so special about watching a man of that level of fatness be at his athletic peak while just burning heaters and drinking Diet Coke. I mean, I'm pretty sure he could be Donald Trump's like personal trainer. That's a video I'd honestly pay to see. Is them in the gym together. He goes, "All right, Don, sip that diet. We're gonna get a deep squat in. I don't need you to do nothing fancy. I barely need you to squat, but I just need to make sure that you hear me. Sip that thing and get low."
I would pay to watch that.
Yeah.
Couple characters.
Man, I'm just gonna watch remixes of the debate because I don't want to see it in like the full force. I just want to see what art is made of that kind of a thing.
I feel you on that. Like, I don't know. None of this is real. Like, why are we?
Yeah.
It's funny, just the for arguing for the sake of arguing, but the content of it has been entertaining at the very least.
Yeah, and it does feel like this year of all years, I've seen more. There's less pro wrestling fans out there, and there's more people being like, "All right, we kind of do need to hire for this role because it's getting a little out of hand," you know. And I don't know, like as a young adult, I feel like as time has gone on, like I don't feel a huge difference between government administrations, like probably on a local level more than anything else. But generally, if I live my life with the closed circle of people that I find most beneficial, that stuff is just television, and it's. I'd like for it to be run by someone that I trust, but at the end of the day, I don't know them like that. The people I trust are my ma, my wife, and the guy that gives ketamine to my dogs.
Yeah.
You know, it's like because that's my boy,
and that's the circle you need.
that's the circle I keep tight. You know,
when Trump did that podcast and walked out to Many Men. That's when I was like, all right, this is entertaining as hell. But alas, I was like, all right, I'm checking the whole situation. I'm checked out of.
Yeah, and I think as time goes on, like, I don't want to feel defeated by watching it go on. Like, I think the scariest thing for December of this year is realizing that people are going to be upset regardless what goes on. It's like, y'all, we don't need more reasons to be disappointed in what's going on in the world. Like, it's a wild place, but your day-to-day contribution, whether it be a beautiful new album or walking two people through that line of intimacy in their dance, it's just like, you invest in people. You invest the best things about yourself. You reciprocate good things. And suddenly tomorrow has a little bit more optimism than yesterday.
Yeah.
And if you need to fill your cup, you need to know the ways to do that. Like, I forget where the quote came from, but if you want to be entertaining, you need to be entertained. Like, reach for the things that you want in life.
Yeah, so true. And it blows my mind how many people need that message of, it's more so your neighbor. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, but also your person at the grocery store, your neighbor, the person in your dance class, the person you pass on the street. It's funny, I was in New York not too long ago, and like the lack of one of the many differences between New York and Cincinnati is the street interaction of strangers. It blows my mind when you're in bigger cities. It's like how cut off everyone is. Then you come to Cincinnati and prolonged eye contact from a stranger walking by, and it's just like they start a conversation with you, and it's just like, oh, we're talking now. Okay, hello, like, or just being at a bar here, and it's just like, oh, we're doing this. Okay.
Yeah, I was just playing up in Cape Cod, and it's interesting that like we don't consider ourselves a southern place until you go just a little bit north enough, where it's like, I don't want to talk to you right now. Do you understand? And you're like, oh, that was blunt, polite, and kind of weird. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, man. Moving on. Now, I played in New Hampshire. Their license plates say, live free or die, and they mean it. Okay? They're the Kentucky of the North. I don't care what you want to say about us down here. Okay, they're the Kentucky of the North.
Interesting. Do you feel like you have an accent, like a southern accent?
I have gotten questioned for my y'alls enough, which I feel like y'all is a very common slang across the planet, and it turns out it's not.
Not at
it's
all.
like, fuck off, I don't care. But that doesn't feel like a Cincinnati-ism. Like, Cincinnati-isms feel like the Warsher thing to me, and I don't have that, I believe.
What is that?
I feel like it's just that word that I could point out, where it's like people tell me that Cincinnati has an accent, and then they're like washer, and like you're like washer, like washing machine. They're like, yes. So let me go wash my clothes. Like, I don't hear people say that, but I've heard people say that about Cincinnatians.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember I did a gig in Michigan, and it's funny. The photographers were from there, and we're from Cincinnati. And the whole time at this wedding, the photographers and musicians are eating together, and they're in like very northern Michigan, and they're telling us that we sound super southern, and we're telling them they sound super Canadian, and it was just funny to
Dude,
just places,
It's interesting that a lot of what we consider to be a Canadian accent is alive and well in the States, and it's definitely not just their accent. Like, all my Wisconsin friends, like, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
y'all got to chill on those cheese hats because they're starting to kill cells. You know what I'm saying? Like, you sound goofy. But that's rude. I shouldn't say that about them. But I mean it.
But it's true. I shouldn't say that, but I do mean it. I just shouldn't have said it, but
I stand by my stance.
oh man, that's funny.
Yeah, the moment I get to Milwaukee, like, there really is like a difference up there.
Yeah.
And dude, my closest Boston friend and my closest Chicago friend have been seeing each other long enough where now I make jokes to them that their children will be the most marbled mouth little weirdos that you could ever find.
And that Boston accent too is entertaining.
Yes. Well, I think it's more of the interpersonal communication than the accent to me that seems jarringly different. Like you said, like, you walk through a big city and people are going to avoid you like the plague. Mm-hmm. The moment that you're walking in Newport or around downtown Cincy, it's like there's a requirement to give and take a little bit, and it's something that I feel very at home at. Like, when I'm in other places, like, you wonder what makes you anxious or what gives you like a feeling of discomfort. It's like a lot of those little isms are these comfort foods in your life that you don't realize you're taking for granted in other places.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you definitely love the Midwest. I think there's a lot of things to do here to keep it entertaining, but there are some good old-fashioned small city Midwest things you experience here that's like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, exactly. They're endearing. Do you think you'd ever leave?
I don't know. Totally open to it. I have no desire to actively look to leave, but I do think it's kind of weird to live in the same place your entire life. So if an opportunity approached me, I would look into it wholeheartedly. But also, I'm not actively looking, so just riding the wave,
I feel like there is a tendency to come home for a lot of people that leave, and I've always found that to be like, it's affirming to me that I don't need to leave to get something in a long-term sense.
To find who I am.
I don't believe in that. Like, you're not looking in the place where it matters, which is in the back of your dome. Turn your eyes around, stupid. Let's see what's going on.
It's not the city.
It's like, see a therapist. Let's talk about your thoughts. Because clearly, from your roller coaster tycoon, I can tell who you are a little bit, okay? There's red flags all over the fucking place, okay? And you do shitty construction.
Yeah, we all see it, but you.
But there's something really funny, too, when you go to a New York or you go to a Nashville or you go to an L.A., people claim that as part of their identity, and it's like there's nothing to own there necessarily. Like I feel a sense of ownership in being from Cincinnati, but that's not the reason that I am what I am. That's much more personal. But I do feel strongly that I would love to go out and see new places, but nothing will ever feel like home in the way that this does. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, now I'm becoming a Northern Kentucky person, and that's...
are you moving down there?
I live down there now, so I live 6 minutes from downtown on the Northern Kentucky side, and I love it. It's crazy how close you can be to downtown and still be in, like, deep suburbs, you know. I live 2 minutes from the highway. Yeah. Actually, I had a guy from ADT. First week I'm living in my new home. Me and my wife, we decided to make a nice dinner. Romance, right? Candles are lit. I've been working, and I sit down, and I hear someone knocking on my door. And I'm like, it's not 1948. You don't go fucking door to door. What do you want? Okay, so I walk up. And it's the guy from ADT. He says, you're on my list of new homeowners. And... you know, there's a highway over there with all kinds of criminals on it, and you might want to consider a home security system. And I was livid, and I was like, there's a highway over there? You came here to tell me that? I can see it. I can fucking tell. Like, if I wanted security, I'd call you.
And what a hilarious reason for the sale of security.
If you're going to go home to home, you better have a better sale than the general geography of where we're at. Because I can tell the I-75 has some sketchy characters on it. I've watched the same documentaries, bud. Get off my porch, okay?
I've been here for a while. You should have just broke in and said, hey, did you know people can break into your house?
Wasn't there a TV show about that for a while? Where, like... they would show you how easy it is to break into your home from, like, a security camera outside, and they'd be like, let's pimp you out. It's pretty much the Pimp My Ride of homes, where it's like, now we have a Indiana Jones-style machete that drops from the top of your roof into your front foyer to take out any intruders. Home Alone-style, Macaulay Culkin goes killing again.
Nice. Now, that would be an amazing home security system. If you could get it branded to your favorite movie, like...
what if we had a Macaulay Culkin adult film? That sounds wrong. Not adult film.
Oh, my.
A rated R.
Where they break in and they're punished for...
well, it's almost like a Macaulay Culkin serial killer edition where people keep trying to break into his home and he's really good at getting them.
And it's become a thing to, like, can you break into his home? So it becomes a craze. So people are signing up to try to break into his home, and he's just murdering person after person.
It's Saw, but Macaulay Culkin. It's like a game show.
Oh,
strictly
man.
D-list celebrities.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think we could sell this to NBC.
Like $1 million if you can break into my house. If you can get to my bedroom, you can get $1 million.
Is $1 million enough anymore?
I don't know. I mean, inflation, $5 million, whatever that number is. No one's gonna do it.
Dude, I was on vacation, just me, the wife, and my parents, and they were telling us, like, you know, reminiscing stories of their early marriage and where they were living. Like, my mother was telling me about burning cakes at Christmas and calling 911 for my dad for silly shit. It's just like, it's endearing stuff. Yeah. But somehow we got on the topic of, like, money for what it's worth. Then it's like, living off of income of like $20,000 or $40,000 is the equivalent of living off an income of $150,000 at this point. Yeah. And it's like, boy, this is a runaway train. And you and I work in an industry where there's still like $100 a person for a 4-hour gig. It's what's fair, I'm telling you.
All right.
It's hard to, especially when you're still working on the cash gigs, it's hard to make the appeal that it's worth more than that. But
very true.
Boy, we're really grinding teeth at this point to try to make sense of why live music still has value to people.
That's so true, man. Let me tell you, after the CD release, you might not see me again at a public show. Just because it's so hard to justify the desire to do it. And it's so unfortunate because those are the shows that are recharging to the spirit, those shows with the homies at a public place where you can invite people out. It's not some rich Joe Schmo that's paid for your time, that's to isolate your time. You're actually playing the music you want to play for the people you want to play it to. But at the end of the day, like the amount of time and effort and just in the red you go into just for playing some of these bars is just like, I don't know if I'm gonna do it anymore.
And people kind of look at what you do and they say you're living your dream by playing this music. and it's a hard thing to stay conscientious of. Like,
Yeah.
I was telling one of my buddies I was on here recently, like with my nephews, when I see them enjoy something for the first time, they're 5 and 3. It reminds me that I've been taking for granted how good water from the water cooler upstairs, how much fun a water balloon toss is.
Just running for the sake of running.
Yeah, just like silly shit like that. Like re-engaging in the things in life that I have become a dullard to.
Yeah.
And music can definitely be like that when you're playing 4, 5, 7 nights a week, 2 gigs in a day. And people say you're living your dream, isn't anything good enough? And it's like, not if you want the kind of quality that we all know we want. And yes, there's a fine line between the quality that I expect versus what's good enough for you.
Yeah.
But just scratching the surface of what consumers are asking for is not how you get greatness out of these things. You don't get a Steely Dan by putting their music on Spotify and telling them that's enough to make it. It's like selling records is what kept those guys motivated.
Yeah, I have a couple friends that I'm like, I love live music. And it's like, when's the last ticket you bought to go see something? Or when's the last bar where they were playing anything other than covers? And it's like, oh, well, or like even the jazz club I used to play. It's like, do you go? Do you actually listen?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. So like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. What do you feel like? What do you feel like tipping culture should look like? Like when you go out to see a show, as a musician that knows what it takes, what do you feel like is the appropriate way to? If you make a request, do you believe you should tip? If you go to a show that's free, do you believe you should tip? If there's a cover, what should you do?
Great question. I do. Well, first off, almost like the European version of like tipping in restaurants. You should just pay your employees livable wages. So first answer to that is the bar. I wish that bars paid anything respectable.
Yeah.
As far as tipping goes, it's always nice. It's lovely. You hear something you like. Somebody. I think it feels kind of almost to the point of degrading for me to hustle. Please tip me. I got food to buy.
Dude, that Nashville
just,
style of walking around with a bucket, like,
oh,
please, I came here to entertain, not get on my hands and knees and say, like, I'll give you a rough tug for,
Yeah.
It's like.
I throw a tip jar out there, If you're feeling the spirit, feel free,
Yeah.
And I'm super gracious, but there's no obligation,
Yeah. At this point in my career, I'd rather sell something than be tipped because I want to know that I respect the value proposition of what you're bringing to me. You said I have this amount in my pocket and I feel like it's worth what you're doing. And when you walk away, I want there to be something tangible said that not only was I here, but this is what I enjoy, whether it's the CD or a lighter with the band name on it or a hat. Like, I don't care. I need you to feel like there was a transactional understanding of I'm giving you my heart and soul, and no amount of money could ever be too little or too much, like there's a weird thing there.
But that is the transaction. Sometimes for me, the only thing that really keeps me going is how happy I make people. And also at times I feel like that is what you bought, was me providing you happiness. And I hope that doesn't come off as smug or something, but it makes me happy to make people happy, but also that is what I brought to the table.
Yeah.
And then you gotta get money involved, and so I need money for that, and it just feels, and that's why tipping just feels weird because I brought you happiness, and your happiness was worth the $2 that you put in the tip jar.
But if it's a $2 bill, that's good luck, baby. I'm holding it.
I guess.
Yeah.
And so while I'm so grateful, at the same time, it's like, cool. So I don't know.
You kind of feel indifferent to it at that point.
Super indifferent. Thank you for the money. It makes the world go round. But also, like, I feel like I shouldn't. It's not with the person that tips, and people should tip if you're listening to this. But also, from my perspective, it's almost it's selling us. It's not degrade. It's a little degrading. A little bit of. It takes the heart out of it to know I'm not being paid enough when I'm out here walking around with a tip jar.
Yeah, that takes away a lot of. I don't want to stand on artistic integrity, but feeling like a human being that knows my job out here, it's like I don't want to have to make ends meet by asking people to understand that I'm worth it.
Yeah, and hoping, like, why don't I deserve stability?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Especially for our age, like we've been in the game for a little bit longer, and there's people that's been in the game longer than us, but sometimes I have said to folks, this is my price. If that doesn't work, I'd be happy to recommend you someone less experienced that'll work for that number. And then people get in their feelings, and it's like, well, experience costs money.
Yeah.
So.
Also, you have a degree in the fucking thing. It's
right.
Like, that's an even different issue that I can't even understand. It's like, I have a marketing degree. I know I don't quantify that thing in what I do out here. But boy, moving to hourly changed everything for me interacting with potential clients and bars. Because here's the thing. Here's what I know I'm worth. I'm not going to budge on that. But if you wanted 4 hours of music and you can only afford 2,
that's what we're doing.
Yeah, do we got a deal? Because I'd much rather be home at 8 o'clock, and that sounds lovely to me.
Yeah.
But if you want to go for 4, understand that I'm not going to, whether you book me for 2 hours or you book me for 6 hours, you're taking my night. And there's an opportunity cost of a better gig that I could have gotten on that. Mm-hmm. And that's difficult for people to understand. It's like, why is there a 2-hour minimum on this? Because I can't go from here to another gig in a different city.
Yeah,
and like
my evening.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I know I need to emotionally fill my cup probably once a month. I do just the original stuff and really try to focus on that. But the rest of the time, I'm grateful that at this point in my life, I'm trying to price myself out of bad customers that don't understand what I'm worth, and really cherish the folks that have seen value in it and continually step up to bat for me.
Yeah.
Because those folks are worth more than I think they get expressed to. It's like, because at the end of the day, we'd all like a promotion next year. We'd all like a little bit of a raise.
Yeah.
But if it's enough today, they deserve to have their praises sung as an affirmation of good behavior versus talking too much shit about the folks who don't get it.
That's so true. I'm really trying not to let that take me out of the game. That sentence right there. And I still haven't come to peace with why am I fighting you?
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like unworthy. And so I would almost rather, for my peace of mind, step away from the game than to keep arguing with you for $100.
Yeah.
And especially you're talking about some of these wedding gigs where it's like load-ins at 1 p.m. The gig is it's not over till midnight. There's a hour load out, and it's like, this is a 12-hour day.
Yeah.
The amount of time you take, and not even talking about taking my evening, but the amount of relationships I don't have with people because I'm working, and I factor that into the amount of family events I've missed because a 4th of July gig, a Christmas Eve gig, a Labor Day gig, a New Year's Eve gig, to the point where I got some cousins who have had kids where I don't even know these little family members.
Yeah.
And I factor that into $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, at a certain point.
Now you're making me bitter again. Quit bringing up all these holidays we keep missing. And that's a weird thing to, like, the instability of relationships outside of music take place with other people that are in the industry, and that's why there can be a lot of tension and a lot of infighting and whatnot, because these are the only people that can understand the thing you go through. It's like, I've been really grateful that me and my bass player Kanan have been going out and playing frisbee golf on Monday afternoons, because that's my day off.
Yeah.
That's the one day where I can feel like a person. But I don't get to see my wife, I don't get to kick it with the people that everyone else does on the weekend.
Yeah.
And dude, we're in the thick of wedding season for our friends. And I got that sickness that if I'm off on a Saturday night, I have a nervous tick, because I know that there's money I should be making right now. So, like, with a lot of my friends' weddings, I'm like, please let me play your cocktail hour. Like, it'll be my gift to you. But if I don't do something, I will feel so out of place, and I don't know how to diffuse that.
I'm about
part.
to say, you need to unpack that, man.
I think
that
I'm
workaholic, man.
I think I'm a classic workaholic in that. It's like, I don't think I work incredibly hard until I see friends with, like, remote jobs where they wiggle a mouse for a paycheck, and I'm like, that sucks. But I'm happy with what I do, but I can definitely notice that, like, there's a feeling of inadequacy if I don't do the thing that I feel like I identify the most with.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah, but I feel like you've done a good job of also diversifying that thing, to have music, to have dance, to now have this day gig where you do an incredible thing for the community that does involve you entertaining people.
That's true, but it's the grass is always greener on the other side, because the way my attention span is set up is nice that I'm not doing any one thing long enough to dislike it. But on the other hand, I work on the weekends, and so my off day is Monday and Tuesday, but that gets filled with music and dance, and then the day job kicks in, and then after the day job is dance job, and then the weekend we're back to the weekend where I'm working, playing music, and I don't know. I think for just my attention span, it's nice to do that, but man, that corporate job is looking more and more appealing. Of man, let me make this money and swallow not loving life for 40 hours, so I can really love life for the rest of that time. You know, the older I get, the more appealing that's looking.
Yeah, and there's so many kind of untouchable benefits that come along with that. That you know, when you're deep in the game of self-employed and join the music world, you don't think about the fact that your friends have a matched 401k and they have dental and they have all these things that come along with that. And as said by a buddy of mine, there's a lot easier ways to make 50 grand, and those jobs are more infinitely supplied. But my buddy Nathan said this on the show last night. He had a pretty serious health scare with a brain aneurysm. And he said, I came back from that, and people said, did you have any epiphanies about, what's worth it in life? And he comes back and says, like, I feel like I realized that I'm doing everything I want to be doing. And this is a guy that's raising a family, working for a musical nonprofit, playing with an amazing band. It's like, yeah, there's things to lust after that come along with that side of the world, but a lot of those folks, you could ask them, do you understand the feeling of burning a room to the ground? Not as an arsonist, as a saxophone solo cuckoldist.
That's the name of that album.
No.
Your
dad's like, this thing's selling really well. You're like, you don't even know that.
I'm going on tour, sex club to sex club to sex club around the country.
Dude, imagine if you could just play jazz in sex clubs. I mean, I think there's
one in town that I've heard has bands.
I have heard about that as well, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily in town for discretion. But, dude, what a crazy market. The world of entertainment can be so skewed as to what has value and what doesn't have value.
Yeah.
If those clubs are playing better, best believe me, I'm taking the gig.
Oh, definitely. Wardrobe appropriate, too. And partaking. Like, listen.
I got a club that I occasionally play in northern Kentucky called Shorty's Sugar Tit Pub. It's in Sugar Tit, Kentucky.
Oh, okay. That's not where I thought we were going.
No, it's a slight turn. But it's a smoker's bar, and I occasionally smoke a cigar. When I go there, I'll definitely burn a stove and have a good time.
Yeah.
But it's tough on me to play in the smoking room.
Yeah.
But you realize that these small categories of niche have so much more value in the fact that they know the sacrifice that you're taking playing in there, and they appreciate the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
And what blows my mind too is like the commonality is smoking, but you have bikers, mothers of suburbia, corporate folks. It's like this is a melting pot with one thing in common, and it's amazing the way that when you appreciate these folks that are on the exterior of normal bar-going society, there's a lot of love to be had in that.
Yeah.
Even if there are disadvantages.
Yeah.
Even if you don't feel like you can wear sandals. Because, it's a sex club with a pool. They might love you a little bit more for being there.
Never do that. Never do the jacuzzi at a...
Come on, man. You're being closed-minded. You could sous vide in one of those things. You ever watch Arrested Development?
Nah.
There's a scene in Arrested Development where the dad's, he's pretending that he's dead, and he's living in the attic of their house, and he wants a jacuzzi to bide his time. So they give him a jacuzzi upstairs, and he go up at some point, he's cooking meat in it. It's so funny. And that's like the worst case scenario for a sex club.
Yeah, it's like I was wondering where those hot dogs came from.
Dun, 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 dun. Actually, Shorty's occasionally has roller dogs. And in a smoking bar, I've never had a smoked hot dog in that sense.
Yeah,
it tastes different.
Smoked hot dog.
Yeah, dude, it tastes real different.
Have you ever did the roller dogs at the gas station?
I've definitely had a couple tornadoes from Speedway, but those were in years where I wasn't as concerned about my gut biome. I know you and Sean are professionals. I know you guys.
No, I leave that to him.
Come on, dude. Sean's definitely professional.
Oh yeah, I can't. I've been on the road, and it's like if I'm really gigging early, have some drinks. I just need something hot.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of nowhere. Those type of gigs, bad decisions have been made, but often now and later in age, I just buy some candy and call it a day.
Yeah,
roller dog, especially like 2 a.m. Roller dog,
bruh. My wife got me like a 9-volt cigarette outlet, like heated lunchbox, so I can bring food in a cooler and I can toss it in there. Like, dude,
that's amazing.
I was living rough out of my car 2 weeks ago. I played State College, Pennsylvania, Sandown, New Hampshire, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and then I had a week to get to D.C. pretty much, where I was like, I don't want to drive home and drive back, so I was taking my time and go see some of the sights.
Nice.
Went and just fucked around. I went to Philadelphia. I went to New York for a little bit, and I'm just living out of Costco membership, electric lunchbox, and a cooler. I wasn't upset about it. It was a pretty good deal. Like, at least then I can know where things are coming from.
Yeah.
And I got 2 rotisserie chickens on each hand. I'm threatening to fight people at the Washington Monument. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
America.
They're hanging. You're smoking them like in the passenger seat.
Dude, I'm smoking them. I'm just burning them underneath. I'm like, these bitches gonna be hot.
Seasoning them.
That's disgusting. That's awesome. Well, brother, as we start to conclude today, is there anything else you want to promote?
No, man. Love music.
You're a special one, brother. Thank you for coming on today. I'm really excited for this project to get out, and hopefully people react to it in a way that fills the cup, because it's well deserved. It's like, it's not just the money and the time that goes into it. It's the artistic endeavor to say, this is a chapter of life that I framed in this way for you to partake in it right now or 10 years from now, whenever you need it. I've put it in the medicine cabinet. It's here for the taking.
That's beautiful. I like that.
Thanks, man. I like what you did. It's the whole thing sounds fantastic. Shout out to Doghouse Studios. Those guys did a great job. Shout out to Sammy Roosh, who slipperiest fingers in the fucking game. And R.I.P. Sean Fitzpatrick, Riverstock, this Friday.
Hey.
That guy has tried to put me in that river too many times, and so I'm avoid this year, but I will be back.
Hey, that's what's up.
I know I will be. We love you, Sean. But thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, man.
R.J. Williams. We'll catch you on a little bit, y'all. Peace.